Hey Good Buddies, what's up and welcome into the Good Buddies Anime Show. I am your good buddy Roger.
And I am your good buddy Brandon.
And this week, we're going to do something a little different. We're trying something a little new.
We're going to mix it up.
I have some time off. I have a little more time to edit, so I thought we would try a somewhat new format to the show.
Ooh.
Something a little more personal from both of us, you know, and we might do a couple of these. We might not. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
and this week, we're going to be talking about our own individual animes that are the most nostalgic for us.
Mm-hmm.
And what is nostalgia?
Let's have Roger read the definition off of Google.
Let me read you the Google definition of nostalgia. It's a sentimental longing or wistful action for the past, typically a period or place with happy personal associations.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about nostalgia is it doesn't necessarily have to be happy personal associations.
Sure.
Really, it's just personal associations. Yeah. Something that you can relate to. But generally, you know, and I think most of what we're going for is the happier times.
Sure.
But you know, mine does have, you know, very personal things, some things that weren't so happy, but I'm pretty excited to talk about it. Brandon, do you want to say anything about it?
Not really, man. Let's just
All right,
hit it.
let's
get
hit it.
on in.
All right, so the anime that I chose that is most nostalgic for me.
Just hold on to your butts, guys.
It used to be, you know, I said that it was my favorite anime all time.
Mm-hmm.
Since we started doing the show, I don't know that it's in the same category as my favorite. We might talk more about that in the ramble, but the anime that I chose was GTO, or Great Teacher Onizuka.
My God.
The first time that I saw GTO was on Shonex, which was part of a late night Showtime cable TV.
Mm-hmm.
And roughly, I did some research because I couldn't remember if it was on HBO or where it was exactly that I saw, what channel. But from what I can tell, the time that it aired on US TV was early 2004 on a channel called Shonex, which was a part of Showtime.
Yeah, man.
And at that time, I was about 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was but a lad.
but a lad coming into his own.
I was scared to admit that I am double that age now.
God.
But you know, that's that's kind of, you know, where nostalgia falls in, you know.
Yeah.
Most people that I know that have a strong sense of nostalgia is stuff from, you know, ages like 10 to 18 or so, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
You know, most of my friends are around my age, so.
Sure.
Now GTO itself, it's a school-based shonen about a 22-year-old ex-gang member named Ikichi Onizuka becoming a teacher. Initially, notably, he is a virgin. He figures out that if he teaches high school, he could end up marrying a student.
Wow.
Hopefully after graduating.
Wow.
To have a young and attractive wife. Things don't pan out that way for him, and he ends up with a new set of morals, realizing that sexy relationships with your students are, in fact, wrong, but single moms and faculty, not so much.
I'm glad he learned his lesson.
Glad he learned his lesson. It was a different time. And the students' feelings are often overlooked. They're judged by the school system far too harshly if they don't fit the norm, like he did not when he was a student. And students can totally be given up on without a second thought. After he expresses his feelings about that matter in a scene that sees Onizuka take the vice principal to Suplex City in a failed interview for the private school Holy Forest Academy, the superintendent of the school sympathizes with his passion and offers him the job to take over a troublesome class, which in the show has the higher end of middle school students, but on average the students range age is roughly grade 9 through 10 here in America, so on average they're about 15. The class is known and feared for their distrust in teachers, and it leads to pranks that drive teachers outright insane.
Yeah.
Through the kind-hearted nature and often eccentric and rough lessons taught by Onizuka, he breaks down the walls and insecurities of the students in the class to become not only the greatest teacher, but a friend and ally to the students.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And Brandon, if you have anything, I know you have seen the show, so if you want to interject at all,
Yeah, I think
you can.
If I recall correctly, I think you let me borrow it, or maybe I saw it somewhere else. I think you let me borrow it. And it was one that, like, I remember you telling me about and how much you loved it. And I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. And I remember watching this show. And I'll tell you, it is hilarious.
It is hilarious.
It's also, I mean, it's definitely one of those, as you said, it was a different time kind of things.
Well,
it is hilarious.
Yeah, and if you can't tell by the way that this is going, and maybe it'll sound different in the YouTube version than it will in the podcast, I did script out this, and I probably will do scripting for these episodes so I don't miss anything.
Yeah, man.
Because often in the show, I roll things off of the dome, nonstop, since day one.
Sometimes he don't make a lick of sense.
Yeah, sometimes it does not make any sense, so I have it out here to where I feel like it did make sense.
Yeah.
But
your boy's going off the dome.
To go into your point about it being from a different time, I do address that.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about it here and why GTO is so nostalgic for me. When I first saw GTO, it came at a time in my life, and I'm sure others, that was instrumental in figuring out who I was and what it was that I really was passionate about. As a student, I definitely did not fit the norm of what most kids at my school were like. I went to a very small country school, largely white people. I myself am white, but I learned firsthand in a school like that, what it is like to be a little different. How you are treated by people that come together and start their own cliques and factions, whatever. I know what it's like to be different in a situation like that. I'm not saying that I'm a black person in a predominantly white school or anything like that, but I do get it. I often felt insecure there and unaccepted by others. I, like many other students, was bullied for a lot of things, not only by my peers, but by members of the faculty as well. For like being a nerd, being overweight, being poor. People would make fun of you for pretty much anything. Things that really had a negative impact on myself and even translated into my own personality for years to come, in which I often treated others poorly. That's not okay, and I recognize it, and I will never stop working on it. GTO was one of the major things that I would attribute to leading me towards becoming a better person. The wide range of feelings and situations in the show that the students feel were very relatable to me personally. Watching the students open up to someone they felt like they could trust, like a role model of sorts, after some hard-learned lessons, and they would become better for themselves and live happier, more open lives, made a world of difference to me. A difference that I would say that I carry to this day.
Sure.
The titular great teacher Onizuka, Ikichi Onizuka, was also greatly moving in a way that showed a positive effect that a good role model can play. It led me to working on myself in a way that I also wanted to be a role model. And before I go any further than that, I would be remiss to point out that the show does have plenty in it that does not hold up to today's standards and has a lot of problematic material in it.
Yeah, dude.
This show involves an adult teacher in highly suggestive, somewhat violent, and inappropriate situations with his students.
Yeah.
Stuff that certainly would have one almost immediately incarcerated. Now, to those points, they're often used to put Onizuka in hot water, be it with the school or the police, to build quite a bit of drama in the show. But being the main protagonist of the show, he pretty much escapes all of it one way or another.
Yeah.
That same character is also the guy that actively works and is working to open these students up to trusting and feeling comfortable again, putting his own life in danger to save the students that are literally jumping over the ledge. And he goes head on with adults that are actively using their influence to take advantage of these students. That's what has always stuck out to me and been meaningful to me about the character. It's hard not to look back on the show and remember these things and enjoy the memory of seeing them for the first time. I find each time I watch the show or an arc from it that it really puts me back into the first time I saw it and how moving and enjoyable it was to me. And in a way that it was meaningful to me. The show is also just funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's freaking hilarious. And the faces and expressions that Onizuka makes are hilarious to this day. I actually own one of them as a cell.
You do indeed.
I will never not laugh at them. And the final thing that I want to touch on with this show and why it's so nostalgic for me is the opening theme song for the US TV run that will forever be stuck in my head. The song is called School's in Session by 4 out of 5.
And there she is again. She's fresh off the cover of this month's Perfect 10. School's in session. Should've learned my lesson. School's in session. Better pay attention. School's in session. More detention. School's in session. School's in session. School's in session. Should've learned my lesson.
No idea where you can find that band or any info about them. However, you can find Schools in Session on Spotify. I did try to find some information to put about them here, but I failed. It's a pretty goofy pop punk number, and there's not much that is more nostalgic to me at all than punk rock and pop punk music. I heard the opening for this not longer than after one of my all-time favorite albums came out, which would be the self-titled album by Blink-182. You not a fan of that album?
That's fine.
I love that album, dude. It aired in America a few months after that album came out. And I remember when that album hit, dude, I freaking loved it. The album, in fact, catapulted me into my next decade of a style of music that undeniably helped define who I was and brought to me artists such as The Misfits and
Very
Rancid
cool. Very cool.
and Descendants and Against Me and Andrew Jackson Jihad. Bands that I will always love, genre of music that I always will love. Even though my tastes have changed, and most of the time now I just kind of listen to my anime playlist.
This guy.
Or some Coheed and Cambria, but I do turn that stuff back on. I will always love it. School's in Session, as corny as it is still now. Maybe you'll hear a part of it in this. It was an absolute anthem for an anime song to me or whatever. It was one. A lot of people remember like the One Piece rap and stuff like that.
God,
I remember School's in Session, and it came in at the perfect time right after that self-titled album from Blink-182, and that's kind of all together why the series is so nostalgic to me. That's why GTO is, I think my most nostalgic series. I can always go back to it. I can always watch it again. I can always be put back into, the memories of watching that. It was also one of the first, this is Roger going off the dome now. It's a lot.
Here we go.
It's one of the first memories that I have of watching, even though it came out after, Cowboy Bebop and some of that stuff. It was maybe the first more adult anime that I really, really loved. It was one of the more obscure ones that people hadn't seen at that time. That I was able to go, and my few friends that did watch anime were like, oh my god, you got to check this out. This is something entirely different. This is not something on Cartoon Network. This is it's what brought me further and deeper into anime, and I will always appreciate the show for that. Even though I may not classify it as my favorite anime anymore, it's definitely nostalgic. I love it.
Very cool.
I have some notable mentions here.
Go for it.
I would like to point out the Tokyo Pop shows, which GTO was part of. Other shows from that were Initial D and Brigadoon. Those are also pretty nostalgic. Real About High School was another one. Very good. The Adult Swim and Toonami anime.
Of course.
The Tenchi Muyo series. Cowboy Bebop. Outlaw Star. You know what? Star Wars didn't get me into space. Cowboy Bebop and Outlaw Star did. I love the whole genre because of those. And then, of course, there were some non-cable shows, Digimon, Ultimate Muscle.
Sure.
Stuff that was on the channel we had, Fox 44, the Fox Box, maybe even Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff I have a great bit of nostalgia for, but none of it quite hits like GTO did.
I'm kind of shocked I didn't hear Rurouni Kenshin or Yu Yu Hakusho in there.
Well, dude, I thought about it, and I actually have at least a couple more listed. But one of them I'm obviously not mentioning for the sole reason that it's your nostalgic pick.
Oh ho!
But I did think about other potential episodes that we might do like this.
Sure.
So I didn't want to, throw all the titles out there. Not to say that I won't talk about any of these in the future, but I don't want to.
You can't give them everything at once, baby.
Yeah. Also, I figured that reading this and me struggling my way, I'm already kind of a poor reader, if you can't tell. Just chopping my way through it might take a while. So I'm gonna keep it short. Keep it simple, stupid.
Very cool.
Give me a kiss.
Give me a key.
Give me a kiss.
This guy.
But that's my most nostalgia anime, dude.
I love it, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
That was really, really good.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate you tolerating me or whatever as I try and stumble through this and figure it out.
Baby, we've talked about this before, how one of my favorite things is watching someone geek out about a thing.
And also, I probably will script stuff more often that goes into a more personal level like this. Brandon, you did not script yours, and that's totally okay because you're much better at rolling off the dome than I am. So let's hear what you got to talk about, dude. What is your most nostalgic anime?
Don't you go hyping me up too much because I'm absolutely going to just destroy whatever I try to talk about here. Let me start by saying I really struggled with this one. When I knew like it was going to be like our most nostalgic animes, that was kind of tough for me because for me, my first thought is like something that reminds me of, a simpler time or a nicer time, a funner time, something, the wistful days of yore, as it were, et cetera, et cetera.
And I mean, definitely in mine, dude, I harken back to an age.
Totally. For me, like, a lot of the stuff that really jumps out to me as back then stuff I enjoyed, I'm remembering the shows, and I'm enjoying the shows. My life at the time, not to get too real, wasn't so great. My parents got divorced when I was fairly young. It was not very good. I have some fairly depressing stories I will not get into here, but suffice to say, I've gotten over it.
Sure.
I'm good now.
Yeah.
Middle school in particular, like I was constantly like I didn't realize it was affecting me so much, but I was just a little shit in middle school. And like constantly getting into fights and whatnot. So a lot of those things I enjoy, and I'll just get some of my honorable mentions out right now. Pokemon, Digimon, Tenchi Muyo, Cowboy Bebop, Case Closed, Sailor Moon.
Case Closed is a good one, dude.
I love me some Case Closed. I love Sailor Moon. That's one of my favorite shows ever. But even then, when I was watching it, I was like, this is cool. It was only later in life, when I was older and like going back to it, that I recognized it for like, what it was and really enjoyed the things. But all that said, yeah, I'm going to go a little bit, this is definitely a middle school pick for me.
Sure.
Because it was back in, I believe, 98 that every damn day your boy was riding that school bus home, jumping off, running straight into the house and flopping in front of the TV to turn on Toonami, so that I could Dragon, rock the Dragon Ball Z. Yes, it's got to be Dragon Ball Z for me.
Sure.
That has got to be if there's any one show I can truly say that that reminds me of any kind of fun and a good time I had when I was younger, it's definitely that one. That is the nostalgia trip for me. And let me tell you, man, it don't hold up if you've tried to watch
it. Yeah. It's funny. People always are shocked at me whenever I tell them that Kai is the only way to watch the show.
Dog, I literally... Kai takes like 3 episodes to get through the Raditz saga. What happens in the Raditz saga? Roger?
Raditz lands. Goku and Piccolo find out. Goku and Piccolo go to fight him. Gohan is there as well. They fight Raditz. I don't remember if Raditz kills anybody or not. I know the other Saiyans do.
Raditz definitely, he kills a farmer when he first lands, which is a pretty fun scene.
I'm talking about the main Z Warriors.
In the fight? No, I don't
other than the notable kill.
No.
And then in the Raditz...
Listen, this show's been out for ages. I'll just spoil it here. Goku and Raditz are having a fight. Goku manages to get him in a hold, and Piccolo blasts the both of them
with a special beam cannon.
With a sweet ass special beam cannon. Now, listen, You can tell that story in 3 episodes, and that's fine. You could probably trim it down
And
a little bit.
That's where Piccolo becomes Gohan's dad.
Yes, he does. Do you want to venture a guess? Just take a guess. How many episodes it takes for the regular uncut version to tell that story?
20.
Considerably less. 6.
Okay.
Twice as many episodes for that? What were they doing?
Okay. I guess that was big, but when you think of Dragon Ball Z, you think of things like the Frieza saga, which took months to get through as a kid.
Ages, my dude. Suffice to say, as I said, it doesn't hold up. It's still a great show. Don't get me wrong. I love me some Dragon Ball Z. It is indeed my #1 most nostalgic anime. But let's talk about it a little bit. First of all, Dragon Ball Z, Akira Toriyama created Dragon Ball. This is a continuation of Dragon Ball. Not that I or anyone else I knew in school knew that. We just knew, there's these cool dudes who fight each other and shoot lasers out of their hands. It was badass. They're charging up. They're eventually their hair's turning gold. You find all these cool aliens and stuff. And even when they had these goofy little one-off episodes, there's one where it's partway into they're like training. It's like the Snake Way thing, right? Snake Way saga.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's training, and Piccolo's got Gohan, and we just cut to Vegeta and Nappa on the way to Earth, and they stop by. They ended up landing on a weird little planet with some bug people. And they actually help the dude there. There's a bug dude who is in love with this girl, and they end up actually helping out a little bit, and the dude gets his bug wife or whatever, and it's so beautiful. And then they blow up the planet.
Yeah.
Just so you know how evil they are.
This planet has a serious bug problem.
Didn't need to happen. We didn't need that whole episode. Look, it's great.
Yeah.
You ain't got it. It's so much extra.
I would argue that you don't even need some of the entire sagas they offer.
You really don't. Point is, the show's great. But yes, continuation of Dragon Ball. Again, no one I knew that. We just thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Focuses on Goku, who is a terrible father. Who is
worse than Super.
Oh, he's awful. He's awful all around. But yes, he is a terrible, just a bad guy, who is actually a very good guy because him and his crew are constantly fighting these bad guys and aliens and invaders and going off to other planets to fight other aliens who are trying to destroy the planets and whatnot to save the Earth and the Namek and whatever else. They're just going around beating up bad guys and shooting lasers out of their hands. It's great. You got the powerful alien villains. You got Frieza. You got your King Cold. You got your Vegeta, who ends up becoming a good guy. You got Nappa, who dies. A bunch of people die. Sometimes they blow themselves up to try and kill someone and it doesn't work out. R.I.P. Chaozu. Point is, it's just absolutely absurd and ridiculous. Remade as Kai, I already mentioned that. Again, very abridged, newer animation, very, very cool. The thing is, when I think about this show, when I really think about this show, what makes it so nostalgic for me is not only, getting home from school and watching that show. This was 98, 99 when it was airing, and later on, obviously, when it was airing on Toonami.
Yeah.
Which was again, prime middle school for your boy.
Yeah. I think it spanned into the early 2000s.
Oh yeah, early 2000s for sure. God, it goes on forever too.
Mm-hmm.
But it was all that. It was having, it was one of the few things I remember actually having the experience. Again, I was in middle school. I was having a bad time. I was constantly getting into fights. I just hated everything. I was mad at the world. And again, I don't really know why I was so angry. It probably has to do with the divorce and everything, blah, blah, blah. But I remember one of the very few times that I actually started making friends. There were 2 things that did it. It was video games. It was anime. Because I remember getting into a fight with this kid whose name was Andrew. And they sat us down at the timeout table at breakfast or whatever, because that's what they do. They just have a separate table where you sit on opposite ends. And I remember looking at this kid and just being so mad and then thinking, why am I so angry? Me and this kid probably could be friends. I just need to find some common grounds. And I actually started this is a real thing that I did. I started humming the tune from Ocarina of Time. I started humming Zelda's Lullaby to myself. And he just looks at me and goes, is that fucking Zelda? And I was like, yeah, man. It's like, oh, I love Zelda. And all of a sudden, I've got a friend. It was like that. And then it went from there to anime. It was Dragon Ball. It was Tenchi Muyo. It was all these other shows that we had been watching. Pokemon, obviously. Everybody loved Pokemon. And that's how I started making friends. It's how I pulled out of that anger that I was in. I was still pretty angry. But I got over it. And it was because I had friends to help me out. And not to get too dark, but I do want to give a special shout out to a very special friend of mine, Josh. I will not give his last name because he is no longer with us. But this guy was the #1 Dragon Ball fan. He actually passed out once from trying to power up and go Super Saiyan.
Everybody had a friend like that, and you gotta love him.
My God, Josh was the coolest. He was very tall and very strong and very cool. And we would ride the bus home. He lived a couple blocks from me. And we would, go over to his house, watch some Dragon Ball and Toonami. We would play video games. It was just, that's the time, and that's the energy that I needed.
Sure.
At that time. And it truly does, just remembering it really does like touch me a little bit, yeah. And I don't know really what else to say about it. It just felt good to finally have some connection to other people my own age, to actually make friends. Because I had friends when I was younger, but then we go to different schools. You don't have any friends. You're at this school. You don't have any friends, and everything sucks, and you're angry and whatnot, and blah, blah, blah. And it was only through these shared interests that I was able to finally have anything. And gee, thanks, Mr. Toriyama.
Yeah.
You made it happen for me.
Dude, safe to say, if I knew you at that age, we would still be good buddies, man.
Yeah, man.
You bet your sweet, sweet bippy that your boy loves some fucking Dragon Ball Z.
Hell yeah.
I consumed me some Dragon Ball Z.
Classic, man. Dragon Ball was classic, man. But yeah, it's a good old time. Once again, that opening theme song, which obviously, like, this was the, dub version, different songs, etc., etc. This was not Chala Head Chala. This was Dragon, Rock the Dragon,
Rock
Dragon
the
Ball
Dragon,
Z.
dude.
It's so absolutely absurd, but it freaking ripped.
Yeah.
And it was so good. I mean, just everything about it was rad. And there you go. That's basically it. Honorable mention wise, I already mentioned them. I actually got down some years here. Dragon Ball Z, when it started airing, was like among the earliest, right there with Pokemon and Sailor Moon. Like when it was airing in America, anyway, on Cartoon Network, where I would have seen it. Pokemon would have been on like Foxbox or whatever, like you said. But like Dragon Ball was among the earliest in '98, Digimon '99, Tenchi Muyo 2000. I did and do love me some Tenchi Muyo. Granted, I'm sure I couldn't watch it now.
Yeah.
My tastes have. I would still probably be able to watch it, but like I'm still like I feel like I would watch it and be like, oh god, it is just a big old harem, huh?
I think the original series, which is very short, it's only.
at least they had laser
I
swords.
think it's like 6 episodes or something.
Oh,
You could probably still get through that original because you can tell why it was good for the time.
Sure. Tenchi was rad. Cowboy Bebop, of course, probably still my #1 of all time. Amazing. Just the soundtrack will get me going. Case Closed. Another one that got to me later on was on Tech TV. They had a late night thing where they would show anime, and Read or Die the TV was the show. I hadn't heard of Read or Die. I didn't know there was a movie or a manga or anything, but I had seen the series Read or Die, and it was rad. Like, these girls running around throwing paper at people. This is sweet. It was also the same time block where they would show Lane. Could not watch Lane. Didn't get it.
Love Lane myself.
I should try it again. There's a few others that I remember seeing when I was fairly young. Probably, I think it was the summer between middle school and high school, where, and this gives a little more insight into me, I guess, during that period. I remember being like, we had the computer, right? And it was in like, not the living room, but like a side room where like you could still, like, it was an open area where you could like sit there and be on the computer. And it was over the summer, I think between like 8th and 9th, like going to high school, like the summer before high school, that I basically stayed up all damn night every night because I had found some website that had some stream going where it was just showing these animes, just this whole series on a loop. And the 2 series I remember watching were Love Hina, which is a straight up harem anime. There you go. Hey, I was at an age where that was really doing it for me. And another one that ended up, I think, influenced my feelings and tastes and stuff as well, was a show called Gravitation, which is like a straight up boys love series. And I was like, wow, that's different.
I haven't seen that one myself.
It's not bad. It's about musicians and shit. But that's another two that like really hit me for in the nostalgia feels, just like going through stuff and thinking about them.
Yeah,
and that was partially because they were like rad shows, and partially because it was like, this is what I did at that age, was stay up crazy late on the internet just fucking around. So there you go, man. I think we about got it for me.
Dude, Dragon Ball Z, going back to your choice, is such a good pick. Honestly, is there a bigger icon in anime history here in America that really, really pushed, what anime is and could be?
The only other thing that comes even close, and only because it is so recognizable, would have to be like Pokemon.
Yeah, it would be Pokemon, and I don't think
really
Pokemon was breeding anime fans. I think Dragon Ball Z was. And Dragon Ball Z also, it kind of transcends level, because many non-anime fans, the other thing that I can think of that's kind of like this is like Attack on Titan.
Oh, yeah.
Something that hit the mainstream so hard that almost everybody liked it.
Yeah, Attack on Titan was huge.
Yeah. And I remember a period in my life, I don't really do this anymore, but like I would, get it with my nerd friends or my new friends. Like, so you guys, you anime, what are you into? What's your favorite anime? You cannot pick Dragon Ball Z. And I realize now that, it's fair. Fuck
That's
that.
a little douchey.
Yeah,
it's a little
that.
douchey.
Like, if you want to pick Dragon Ball Z, you can. I personally think that Dragon Ball is better than Dragon Ball Z. And if you're going to want to watch Z, you need to watch Kai instead of Z.
Yeah.
GT can burn in the can. And
Never saw
Super is pretty fun, but damn, they made Goku even dumber. How did they do that? But
but I mean, he can't use any of that brain. It's too busy being Ultra Instinct.
Well, dude, at this point, he doesn't even have the heroic speeches or anything. He's just dumb. But it is fun, and I mean, there's no wonder why Akira Toriyama later on was like, yeah, I'll pick the series back up that I was done with, and let's see what we can do with it. In the mid 2010s. Which Super came out of, like, it's good stuff, man. And I would have a hard time not feeling nostalgia going back, watching Gohan hit Cell with that Kamehameha.
Oh, hell yeah.
As Goku's ghost is standing behind him.
That fucking father-son Kamehameha was the shit.
Yeah, man. I would, there's no way that I used to have that shit recorded on VHS. I would make my own covers for it and everything.
That's how we did it with Case Closed, because Case Closed would either come on too early or too late for me to be watching it. So my mom would like record them for me on a VHS, and I would watch them back, and like then have to wait, even longer to figure out what actually happened in the mystery.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dragon Ball, even the movies, do you remember like Tree of Might and those shits?
Yeah.
Oh my God, they were decent.
I'm pretty sure I have all of them. Yeah, they did fall off after a while.
Oh yeah.
But the first three were pretty good.
Hey, when they brought back, I always said Broly, but Broly, and he was a fucking goo monster. No, I don't need that.
No, Bio Broly.
That shit ain't real.
Yeah.
That ain't no Broly. Ain't no Broly I've ever seen.
But yeah, man, excellent choice. And hopefully you guys listen to this, you guys and gals, whoever may be listening to this. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Let us know, please. Email us, put it in the comments. Let us know what you think. Definitely let us know what your most nostalgic anime was.
Absolutely, we'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, because I would certainly be curious to the different listeners and stuff we've talked to on the show, whether it be in the YouTube comments or emails or stuff. I would be certainly curious to know what you guys hold.
Absolutely. And there's a number of ways you can hit us up. Obviously, the comments on Rapid Kick Media. If you want to leave us a review or anything, we'll have the full plugs at the end of the ramble. But if you want to hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, even Tumblr, or shoot us an email, however, it's all in the description. Check it out. We'd love to hear from y'all. Obviously, the easiest way, of course, is in the comment section on YouTube, Rapid Kick Media.
Yeah. And one final note before we head into the ramble. It's kind of about the ramble itself. It typically does not do very well on YouTube, and I don't do a whole lot for the editing on it.
Sure.
But it does take enough time that, especially whenever it comes to the uploading process, creating thumbnails and stuff like that, it does take enough time to where it is noticeable. If anybody still takes that in, if that's how they watch it and that's how they digest this portion, as opposed to the the online version, the more podcasts on Spotify, stuff like that. We get the bulk of our listens there. If you do watch the ramble and enjoy it, please let me know so I don't discontinue it, because I am thinking about just, like
on YouTube.
On YouTube. If it's not gaining any views or anything like that, I don't mean to sound weird or like I care that much about the views, but I could use the additional time for something else.
Sure.
Creating another thumbnail, any number of things that I have going on the channel. If you do take in the ramble that way, and this is how you just watch the podcast or listen to it on YouTube, please let me know so I do not discontinue it and stop you from listening.
To be clear, the ramble will keep happening on the podcast, but it maybe not on YouTube.
I'll probably do a couple more, and if nobody has really responded, then I'll quietly end it and maybe find a way to repurpose it. I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Beyond that, Roger, do we know what we're doing next week?
Probably something similar to this.
Man.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll figure out,
what
we'll have more time
to chat on.
category to come up with, and more time to chat about it and figure out, where's in our comfort zones that we feel like we can really speak to.
Totally, dude.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I think that's about it. We can bust on into the ramble when you're ready.
And so we will. And to you, our good buddies, I will say, love you.
Love you. Subscribe to the channel.
Please do.